to Fresh Take.
What it is, what it do? Welcome to Fresh Take 7K Picks. Joshua Adam, William Arbuthnot with the Senator.
You already know what it is. This has been a very okay. I gotta air out my grievance first before we get into anything. Okay. I literally said this to somebody at work because she had no idea who Travis Kelce was until after this past Sunday.
No.
And
are you talking about the TikTok memes?
No, she just had no clue who it was.
Okay, but you've seen the memes of TikTok.
I've seen the memes.
I've
seen the memes. But here's my grievance. If I wanted to see so many shots of Taylor Swift, I would have watched the VMA Awards. I did not watch it for a reason, because they do it every single year. They turn that KC game into the MTV VMA Awards.
Dude, my Twitter was Kevin James and Taylor Swift all Sunday. That's all it was. This someone who, I don't know who was responsible for the Kevin James meme, but someone saw that, and literally every NFL thing that happened on Sunday was the Kevin James meme. And then after, when we got to the afternoon, it was Kevin James meme, meet Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I am. Me and my friend got into this conversation, and she said that Taylor Swift is the artist of our generation, and I said, you are 10 years younger than me, so she is the artist of your generation, not mine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would say of the current generation, sure, she is.
Yeah, for sure.
My generation is Michael Jackson.
She's wilding, thinking, and then at some point tried to put down Beyonce. I was like, this conversation can't happen anymore. I'm sorry.
I've seen this Beyonce Taylor. We're not here in a pop.
We're not doing that.
I have. I mean, the MJ stuff has been going down too, of just saying like she's more popular than Michael Jackson, and that I refuse to. I will say on the Taylor front, like I have just never seen. I think for a lot of us, I do pop culture stuff. You do pop culture stuff, but I never realized the minute bullshit that gets covered and talked about for something like this, as far as a celebrity, from the ranch and the ketchup to cleaning up after, to what an individual is wearing, to if they're holding hands, to different body language. It's like, I have never seen so many minute, nonsensical, non-discussable things discussed in my lifetime, and it's only going to be worse when we get to Sunday Night Football, because that game doesn't fucking matter. So it's going to be focused on Taylor even more.
No. Like, she chose the perfect game to show up to. If
you called it too, I believe. You called it. Yeah, you called it.
I did. And man, I was getting so annoyed watching that game. Thank God I had a slow pitch game to go to, so I could.
Well, they turned it off too.
But oh man, that was bad. That was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't great. So yeah, it's and all this too. I don't think they're dating. I don't think they're dating. I just think it's a convenient situation for everyone. She has her concert movie coming out in 2 weeks here, so she gets some extra eyes on her for this concert movie and time to promote it. Travis Kelce, who is, yes, we've seen the memes, but I do think this has propelled Travis Kelce to another level now.
Oh, it has.
I would say, like what Bill Simmons was saying, I think he's right. Like, Travis Kelce was really good in SNL, and I think he would have had a chance to do movies and some other stuff after his football career. But now that stuff will have been propelled because of Taylor a little bit, just in the way that now this is going to be a really, really old reference. So get the old-timey radios going on here. Right, kind of like with Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe back in the day, right? People knew who Joe DiMaggio was, but going with Marilyn Monroe took Joe to an entirely different level.
I think that this whole situation, to tell you the truth, whether it lasts is past this weekend, if it goes a month, if it goes a season, we know it's not going to last. Like we can
No,
get, everyone
she
knows that
she doesn't date these. She dates
to
like
last.
malnourished English boys.
No, she dates for her next album.
That
But
too.
I think that the good thing for Travis Kelce side for this is that for the people that had no idea who he was, this elevates him over Gronk.
Yeah,
Because football players, we argue like who's the Mount Rushmore of tight ends. Kelsey's on there, Gronk's on there, Shannon Sharp's
Tony
on there, Tony Gonzalez is on there.
Winslow.
Yeah, like there's an argument depending on like who you supported, who you
Yeah,
liked, like what type of tight end that you liked. But Gronk was the one that got a lot of commercials. Gronk was the one that everyone kind of knew just because he was the party guy, all that type of stuff. Kelsey was kind of just like
good
good Patrick Mahomes, like it's kind of like he's associated with
charisma.
Patrick Mahomes,
He's got
charisma.
charisma
The
too.
the podcast, I think that it helped him, but I also think that kind of Jason steals the show on the
I
podcast.
would, man. I listened to it a little bit, and I'm about to, just before we got started. I started watching a little bit. I finished. We were watching the football game. That football game was pretty boring, so I was watching Gen V during it as
Okay.
well. And then when that was done, the game was still pretty whatever. So I started watching a little bit of the Kelsey doc while the game was still going on, and I'm like, man, he is just so likable.
Yeah, there's nothing about Jason Kelsey. Like I don't really watch too like the podcast that I do watch
Mhm.
like every week. But I actually watched the episode with him and his wife.
His
And
wife is really engaging. She's like, I don't know what her prior history was, but she's very well media trained, and she's
yeah,
really good on there.
I was like I could understand how these two work. Like
Yeah.
just watching it, like
Did you hear about how they proposed? How he proposed to her?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was really funny.
I was like, all right, but like Jason steals the show on
Yeah,
that podcast. So it's kind of like this is kind of the way for him to kind of break out and really be Travis at this point. But please, even his mom seemed kind of annoyed at her at some points. So like
yeah.
just let's just cool it down with
And
this stuff.
I will say this for the Kelseys: you've made me a Raider fan like Travis Kelsey. Okay, like I will always sports hate him, much like for the longest time I sports hated
Brady.
Terrell Davis and Shannon Sharp and LaDainian Tomlinson, right? Much like you sports hated Drew Brees through all those years, right? I think a lot of people have this similarity of, oh, I hate them. I was like, no, I sports hate them.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
hate Patrick Mahomes. I hate Patrick
Mm.
Mahomes because I got to deal with him for the next 15 years. I will admire him as a Raider fan, and it sucks that I have to play him 2 times a year. But there was also a side of I just really dislike Travis Kelsey because it kicks our ass, same with LT did. But now, like as a human being level, it's hard for me, even as a Raider fan, to completely hate Travis Kelsey because I also do think he's handled this whole thing really, really well.
He hasn't really gone over and above with it, even when he was on Pat McAfee show and
Yeah,
they were talking about it. Like he kind of left it there, like it's a pretty good like
they made me
mix with
listen
how
to
he's doing it.
Barstool Sports for the
Oh, I still
first
won't
time
listen
in
to
my
that.
entire life. I hate Barstool Sports, but one of their uh, people that work for there
Yeah.
called Kelly Kegs. She's one of their pop culture editors, and she is a big Taylor Swift person. And because of how influential she is of covering Taylor Swift, she came on my timeline, and I got obsessed with her conversations talking to the football people of Barstool. And again, I do not like Barstool Sports, but I was dragged into their conversation because she's such a passionate cover for pop
Mhm.
culture and Taylor Swift for them. So this whole thing went all over the place. And I'd love to say I'm over it and over talking about it, but we've spent now 10 minutes at the start of the pod talking about this whole thing.
Well, yeah, it's true. It was probably the thing that dominated everywhere.
It
Like
has. And it'll dominate next week too.
yeah, my Instagram, it was nothing but that. Conversations at work kind of went to that. It was
Plus,
just
I don't want to
like,
talk about Chandler Jones. So
that's an absolute fact. But if we're talking about like ass kicking, let's talk about a next team in your division that got their ass kicked for real.
Yeah, that Broncos game. I wasn't really paying attention too much to it, watching some of those morning games, because you just see touchdown, touchdown, and then it was at one point I just was like, "Wait, what's the score?"
Oh,
Like when CBS showed, I'm like, because for those that follow the pod, I have the 6 TV setup going on, and that wasn't one of the games I was following. And then I was like, no, CBS, they had to mess up. That could not possibly be the score of. I think it was like 62-20. I'm like, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no.
It was. It got to the point where I had red zone up.
Yeah,
I saw a
I
minute
did
20.
too. I had red zone up.
I saw a minute 20.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill scored a touchdown. And I was like, okay, that's a reasonable start of the game. That's all that it's gonna be. Like, just probably 30-13. Like I had Miami winning for sure. Like that was not even a question. And then I saw like 40 something to 13 or something like that. And I was like, um, what is happening right now? Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Now, what I did also think was that KC was gonna try beating their record of the day when I saw
Yeah,
when that game started. I was like, this is about to be a bad day for
dude,
football.
I thought tonight. I thought for a brief second tonight.
Oh, tonight looked like it was gonna
I
be
was
that
like,
way.
oh shit, are we doing this again?
I started to like get upset because I was like, I don't know who. I don't think I have anybody on Miami on my um the FTN
Yeah,
fantasy league, and I was like, I am hoping. I did not look at my matchup. I lost this week, but not by that much. And I was like, I looked at the weekly ones, and I saw somebody had finished with like 200 and something points. I was like, this is a ridiculous week. Ridiculous week. So
I had to face Mozart. I had some of the no one cares about people's fantasy teams, but I'm gonna let you care about my fantasy team. I had to deal with facing Mozart, who had 48 points on me.
mhm,
I had to deal with the Buffalo defense, who went crazy and
mhm.
had 30 plus points, probably like one of the more high defensive weeks for our defense. And then I had to deal with McPherson, who had what, like 4 kicks from
Yeah,
50?
yeah. That was like
Like, can't win.
a hard way
You
to
can't
end.
you can't win. You can't
Yeah.
win with that. So um yeah, it was week 3 is always a weird week because now you're starting to get an idea with things. And I kind of got, that's why I picked I was the lone one of us to pick Houston over Jacksonville,
Yeah.
because I saw that they were frisky. And again, it was like, well, let's take the gamble here. And I'm wondering if the Jags are good or not. Kind of like I wondered if the Saints are good or not. And without Carr, we'll see how good. I mean, they get AK back this week. I think you and I, Senator, at the beginning of the year, we I think for the most part, we kind of knew what we were talking about for the most part, because I mean the Carolina thing, I think we were obviously wrong on, but I still do like the defense, and Andy Dalton looked good. I just some things just aren't clicking. I do think their defense is really good, but I guess we were kind of wrong about Carolina maybe being a wild card team. But I think we were right about what the Saints were going to be. I think we
Mhm.
were obviously right about your Falcons. We were right about what the Lions were going to be. We were right about what the Dolphins. I think for the most part, we kind of so far I feel pretty good about where we saw things for the predictions side of things.
Yeah, I think overall when you're kind of looking at how the predictions were how we because remember early seasons anything can happen, right? Like who would have thought 4 plays in Aaron Rodgers would have been out? Like
Yeah,
all these type of stuff you can't really predict. The injuries is very hard to predict, but you're overall looking at the team, you have to say that the predictions are fairly right. But even when we were saying about Carolina, we were pretty much right about Carolina, except for what their record was, which was it all comes down to what Bryce does, right?
exactly.
Like if Bryce came in and he was playing, even if he played as well as Dalton did, we could have they probably would be. They probably could be 2-1. But
Probably.
Bryce just hasn't been that player at this point. But they could have their defense have really kept them in games a lot. Their offense, just after a while, if your offense isn't doing anything, your defense is going to get tired because they're constantly out there. So
They were outplaying Seattle in that first half. Seattle
yeah,
has been knowing the Seattle fans like I do, Seattle has to be able to and they got a game this week I think is pretty winnable for them, but they got to stop this. Let's come out in the second and start blowing. Like they got some games where they're able to do it. I mean, Seattle probably should be undefeated right now. But
that's the problem with the Packers too.
yeah,
It's the exact same thing with the Packers, where the first half they play like trash, and then the second half, it's like get into this mindset of, okay, we're down now.
And they miss David Bakatari. Like now that he's on IR too, like they're gonna miss him like crazy. Anyways, let us get into the week ahead. And we start with this Atlanta game. And before we start about that, there's a lot of things in this Atlanta game to talk about. One particularly I want to talk about as far as the game goes, but I have a proposal to you.
Okay, let me hear this.
I believe the Falcons are a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl level team from what I've seen so far, because the weapons on this offense, if you had a proper quarterback, this could be the second best team in the NFC next to San Francisco to me. They should trade for Kirk Cousins. And even if it costs them a first, and I don't think that would be the asking price, but I think that is worth it right now for Atlanta, because I think that takes them immediately in the same area as San Francisco. I have seen enough now with this Atlanta team that they are a quarterback away from being a conference to Super Bowl champion.
I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of like how that sounds, but I also think that we already have a quarterback on our roster.
And here's the other thing too, even if you don't trade for him, I do think this is where Kirk is going in the offseason. I think
I have a feeling.
I think he's going to be your quarterback one way or the other in the next 12 months. So I figure just get it ramped up. Just let's get to it.
I just don't want that cap hit right now.
I know
it's like an expiring contract, but like.
But the dramatic and fantasy number one changes for Pitts. Pitts becomes exactly what we think he should be. And Drake London particularly becomes a top 10, top 8 receiver.
But that's why I also kind of like Heineke more.
Like, and that's what I think they have to see. They have to see what Heineke has.
Yeah, because right now I think Ritter's problem is Ritter is falling into that same area that I said this last week, the same area that Mariota fell into when Mariota was falling off with Atlanta. And it is that you're not doing quick throws, and you're some of the plays are very predictable. Like we know Atlanta's a run first team, like hands down. But if you pick up, let's say 50 rushing yards, you got to start utilizing the play action pass. Like there's no real play action pass. There's no Ritter's trying to like do too much. He's in his head too much. Like just quick pass, right? Like you have a bunch of people like Matt Collins is doing what he got to do.
My guy.
After 3 quarters, now you want to start targeting Pitts. For London, you guys were training together the whole offseason.
Has Juno Smith done anything for you guys?
He had a couple yards in the Detroit game. Really not really. Like we're not utilizing the weapons that we actually have on the team, and that's the downside to it. Like
it's a good team. It's like watching them like this team is literally a quarterback away. I think there's a few teams. I think watching, not to make it about the bubble, watching my team the other day, I'm like, my team is a sturdy quarterback away from being a decent not a Super Bowl team, not a but a decent playoff level team.
Like I don't think we're definitely not up there with the Eagles. We're definitely not up there with the
I'm sorry to Philly. It's Philly and then San Francisco. You'd be third. I think you'd be ahead of the Cowboys.
with a decent quarterback, yes.
Yeah,
Right now,
I think you'd be third. Sorry, I'm sorry, Philip fans.
Yeah.
Don't come
With-
after me.
with the trust that with the weapons that we have, with the plays that we should be able to run, and the plays that we're not running, it just doesn't make any sense.
Actually, you know what? With a decent quarterback, I do think you could beat San Francisco because Purdy looked shaky in that Giants game, and they look beatable. San Francisco.
Well, any team is beatable, right?
I know the Eagles look like the best team in the
Eagles
NFC.
definitely look like the best team, even though now the big argument is about the tush push. That's like the big argument right now.
Yeah.
But also for the 49ers, you also have to look at it like they just got weapons all over.
It's stupid.
They're just way too stacked. So it's this whole NFC is kind of, it's like a 2-team race right now. And it's just pretty much Philly and San Fran. And then every other team after that has a potential to do something after.
Because the Cowboys.
The Cowboys, that was a disaster.
So I talk about your game. And I don't think you'll be able to enjoy this side of the game because you're going to be watching the real game. But the Toy Story side of this, I am so intrigued by what this is going to be.
I might watch both sides, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, okay. And it said broadcasted by Buzz and Woody. I'm like, they're not possibly going to have Tim Hanks and Tom Allen and I can't imagine Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. Like maybe Jim Hanks, because that's who does a lot of the voiceover stuff, is Tom's his brother. So it'll be, because I can't imagine maybe Tim Allen will. I don't know. I'm just very interested in, especially the halftime show with Duke and Boom. That'll be fantastic.
The only problem that I have about this is that it's a Sunday game and I gotta wake up at 7:00 to prepare myself to watch it.
People got to get up early, and then it's all this animation stuff. It's too early for this shit.
It's like every year Atlanta has a away game, and I'm always having to wake up early on a Sunday, and I'm like, I am so over this. But talking about the game, I am choosing the Atlanta to cover the spread, though.
Jags are favored by 3 because I guess if anyone was going to have a London home game, it is the Cons and the Jags back home in London, and who knows? Maybe they'll do a record-breaking attendance in here that we can go back and say was not the record-breaking attendance, much like the wrestling promotion.
They're just going to keep letting you know. AEW on Wednesday. This was the record-breaking.
We had 82,000. Just kidding. You can't lie in England. It's actually 71. And poor Will Ospreay got a tattoo.
Sorry, Will Ospreay. Sorry, Will Ospreay.
Bruv. But no, I'm actually looking forward. The Toy Story side of it is really cool to me. And if you're a Kyle Pitts owner in fantasy, this is when he wakes up is in London. So
it is. I honestly think that this will be, especially with the way how they looked against Detroit last week.
Yeah.
This will be the game. One of my big concerns right now is not even the actual team, like the offense. Younghoe Koo has missed 2 field goals this.
And he's one of the better kickers.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little nervous with him. He changed his number this season too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like all these changing of numbers right now has not been a good thing.
Yeah, maybe change it back. Yeah. We go to the afternoon games. So we have Pittsburgh and Houston. It's in Houston. Pittsburgh favored by 3. Give me CJ. Give me the Texans. Because what I saw in that Steelers game was a team that should have lost that game against the Raiders, but they didn't have the better quarterback. You know, it's really no, I'll talk about the Raiders in a bit. We're not talking about them right now. And what I've seen from CJ Stroud, he has been a top 8 quarterback so far this year. Top 10. Yeah. Give me Houston in this one. I think another big win for Houston. Houston, a fringe wild card team, maybe.
I'm going to choose Pittsburgh on this one.
Okay.
And the only reason why I'm choosing Pittsburgh is I think that the defense is
scary. And TJ might be defensive player of the year right now.
Yeah. And
I think he jumped Mike early so far.
And that pressure that he's going to put on CJ, I don't think CJ has seen that type of pressure yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
And a bad O line.
what's his name? Matt Canada.
Yeah,
I think he knows that he's playing for his life this season.
he is.
So I think if there's ever going to be a time where he really tries to dial up some offense and stuff like that, but that Houston team, no disrespect, I loved Houston when they just got back into the league and everything like that. That was my second team for the longest.
They got a really good coach in Ryan. I was hoping this wasn't just like his pit stop because of how Houston handles coaches for D'Amico and his history with Houston and how he's done. Like he's one of the good coaches in the league.
Yes. Like I think it could go either way. Like this is to me one of those games that you don't actually bet on.
Yeah.
But just because we have to choose a team, because this is a 7K pick podcast, I'm choosing Pittsburgh.
It might be my second favorite game of the morning. There's a really good game in the morning, but it might be my second favorite.
I don't remember all the games, but I'll tell you.
Yeah, we'll go through.
Yeah.
Rams and Colts, big one from the Colts. We don't have coach here to complain about the Ravens loss, so rabble. The Rams kind of got a little bit exploited in that Bengals one. They're favored by 1 here. I believe AR is back in this game.
He was limited in practice, but he returned this week. He's not officially cleared from concussion protocol yet, but they're hoping to have him there on Sunday. But even if they don't have him there on Sunday, Minshew,
Gardner's good. He's good.
And then they have the Zaire Franklin is leading the league in tackles this season.
Yep.
Like it's they have a solid team right now. So I'm gonna go Colts for this.
I'm gonna pick the Colts too. It's Rams by 1. So if this is a scenario for you, do you just take Colts right up, or you just say fuck it and go money line?
I take Colts just because I think the money line is too narrow. I don't remember exactly what the money line is. I'm about to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that it's not a big payout if you do it.
Then Minnesota travels to Carolina. Don't know if Bryce is playing as we record this right now. Minnesota favored by 4.5. I thought Andy Dalton in that Seattle game looked pretty good.
He looked good.
And I think he might be a little, maybe a better option this year for them. I think if they want to win this game, maybe they stay with Andy Dalton, and Thielen kind of got to be kind of his Thielen type of self again. And he's facing the Vikings. So, he wants to have a big game in this. One of these two teams has to win. This is not exactly of the two games we have with winless teams. This is actually not a bad game compared to the Barfest that we have for the other one. Minnesota has to win this game. If they do go 0-4, the Kirk rumors to your team, to the Jets, to a few other teams, the Kirk stuff is going to start ramping up.
Just to go back a bit. So if you go point spread, so you get if you go point spread for the Rams Colts, it's a higher payout if you choose the Rams to cover, but it's 1 point. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much like a regular money line thing if you're doing if you were to do a parlay, point spread parlay. What the usual would be, that's what the money line is. So
it's weird too. The Rams are favored because the Colts are home for that game.
It's identical if you choose money line for either team.
Okay, weird.
So it's a weird one. But
I am picking Vikings, by the way.
I am gonna go with Carolina.
I make it.
I'm going with Carolina more because I think that if Andy Dalton is playing, I'm going to choose Carolina. If Bryce is playing, I'm choosing Minnesota.
I will agree with you. By the way, Kirk Cousins so far has over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's killing it. Putting up amazing numbers right now. His team just can't win.
No. Game that I don't really care about, Tampa and the Saints. Saints are favored by 3.5. The revenge of Jameis, but this is also the return of Alvin Kamara to the team. The Bucks did not look great against Philly, but I'm throwing that out the window because it's Philly. Saints did not look like they could move the ball without Derek at quarterback. So the line in this being 3.5 is a little bit heavy for me. I guess I would lean the Saints because they're the better team, but you know what? Fuck it, give me the Bucks.
Not gonna lie to you, I was gonna choose the Bucks. So I'm choosing the Bucks. One, because I feel like with Kamara coming back, they're gonna just try. They're gonna do whatever they can to keep the ball out of Jameis Winston's hand.
Yeah.
So this is the time for Baker to really do something. Those other wins are whatever, but this is against a good defense. So, and on top of that, I need either team to lose, but I would prefer Bucks to win because I don't think that they're gonna have a really good year after any of these games.
No.
Saints can be more of a competition. So
yeah,
I'm gonna choose the Bucks as a Falcons fan.
Again, we don't have to talk too much about. Commanders are going to Philly, 8.5 for Philly in this. Maybe should be higher. My poor guy Sam Howell, he got beat up last week. What was it? 4 interceptions for him.
4 INTs.
I thought before those 2 games he had looked good, but Buffalo really made him look pretty rough there. I have a bad feeling it's going to be another rough outing. And by the way, baby Rhino, man, does he look good.
This might be the worst back-to-back schedule that a team could have.
Who? Washington?
Washington.
Yeah, who do they have next week?
Oh, they have the Bears next week. That's okay. But
okay.
Yeah. And
whoa, that's the Thursday night game next week?
Yes.
Oh.
While watching the game tonight, that the amount of times they showed that on the commercial, I was like,
I thought we could flex Thursday games, right?
Not yet.
Oh.
So,
playoff baseball next week, at least, folks. We got playoff baseball.
At least. Yeah, Eagles for me on this one. But those are 2 horrible defenses to go up back to back against the Bills and then the Eagles.
Yeah. My man, Eric Bieniemy being with Sam, I think we've seen some progress, but that was a dent to having potentially 2 starting North Carolina quarterbacks in the NFL next year for the first time ever. That was a dent to it. My hopes died a little bit with having that with Drake and him next year.
Just slightly.
The game of probably the day, maybe the week, probably the week. See, this game should have been flexed probably to Sunday night, more than likely. But it's Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo's favored by 3. I'll let you go.
I'm choosing Miami.
Yeah.
I like what Buffalo defense does, but I also think that this might be a game where Josh Allen tries to do too much. So, and this is not just off of recent bias based off of Miami putting up 70. No team has really been able to stop Miami's offense at this point.
Dude, they are first in yards with 552, passing yards with 362, rushing yards with 188, and points with 43 points a game. And now obviously that's escalated because they got 70 compared to Buffalo, who is 7th in yards, 392, passing yards 234, and rushing 149 points 30. Buffalo is the best third down percentage, though, in the league with 50% connecting on their third downs. And Buffalo has the far superior defense, though.
I will say I'll pay attention. This will be the game that I'll be watching during this time slot, just because my Falcons play early that day. It should be a good game, but Miami has mastered getting the ball out of Tua's hand very quickly, so he doesn't get hit, and he is very accurate on his passes. At this point right now, I'm choosing Miami, but I also do think that these past 2 weeks, Josh Allen has kind of improved on his play compared to the first week 1.
Yeah.
So it'll be a really good game, but I'm choosing Miami for this one.
I will go with the Fins as well. Cincinnati travels to Tennessee. Bengals are currently favored by 2.5. I mean, I think they should have sat Burrow. He looked pretty rough in the first, better in the second. This is a game that they have to kind of win. They get back to 2-2, and then they can potentially get to 3-2 before facing a really hard 3-4 week schedule, which has a bye in it, which is
Okay.
good for the bye. But so you win this game, you win the Cardinals, you go 3-2, you face Seattle, maybe lose that, go 3-3 before you get in a bye, and then go back to Niners. And all of a sudden, kind of a tough schedule after the bye now, Senator, for the Bengals. Of you come back from the bye after facing Seattle, and you go Niners, Bills, now a tougher game against Houston than you originally thought. Ravens, Steelers, Jags, tougher game than maybe you thought against the Colts. Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs, Browns. This is a must-win game early in the season for this team. Even the Cardinals game, they'll probably win the Cardinals game, but as we've seen, the Cardinals aren't going to just roll over.
No.
I will pick the Bengals though.
Give me Tennessee on this game.
I like it.
For the points.
Yeah.
I think Cincy will win, but Tennessee on the points. It's such a Burrow can't look like how he looked this past week. I think that it was a mistake to play him.
Because they would have got this and the bye. They would have got an extra week of him sitting. That's why these were all winnable games with Jake Browning, in my opinion, or AJ McCarron.
With the weapons that you have, with two quarterbacks that's kind of been in your system for a little bit, you gotta protect the guy you just spent $275 million on. So it just, to me, yeah, like you want to be competitive and you want to be in this, and you can't go down 0-3 because you have a tough schedule, but you also got to make sure that your quarterback looks good. He did not look good at all.
He did not. You have a long-term situation here. Yeah. And I mean, worst case scenario for the Bengals, and I'm saying like the word, like let's say you have a terrible season and you finish in the bottom 3 picks. Oh no, we have to draft Marvin Harrison and don't pay Higgins, and now we have Marvin Harrison on a rookie deal for 4 years. Oh no.
Like, I understand that he's always been a winner. Any season that he's played healthy, taking them to the playoff, took them to the Super Bowl once, but come on, like I know you just paid him, but doesn't that pay start next season? That was like the extension. So invest in him now when he doesn't have a lot of, where you don't have to pay him that much, so that he can produce when you have to pay him all that money. Like it just, to me, it just didn't make any sense. But who am I? I'm just a football watcher.
Yeah, I still think just the smarter strategy of Rams, Titans, Cardinals, Seahawks, and then a bye before San Francisco and Bills. You can win 2 of those with Jake Browning or AJ McCarron. I firmly believe with the weapons you have, you can split those and then rehab yourself, and that gives him 5 weeks to fix himself. But
even if you look at Jamar Chase said, if he's out there, just give me the ball, I'll win you the game. I think he would say that to any quarterback that they threw out there. That's the mentality that he has, the mentality that T. Higgins has.
We've seen with a bad quarterback, if you give a good receiver like the Raiders the ball, you can have a chance to win.
You can have a chance. So, yeah, I don't get it, but that's just me.
I'll pick Cincinnati to win, but I like your Titans pick because again, Mike Vrabel, hard, and they need a big game from Derrick Henry. He's got to get his stuff going.
Yep, and this might be the game.
Baltimore going to Cleveland. Man, Baltimore is just, the injuries are continuously piling up. They do got a receiver. Zay Flower looks like the real deal there, so I'll say that much about them. But that defense continues to get beat up, and Cleveland's defense is legit.
I don't know who Baltimore pissed off why every season they have some major injuries as much as they do. Like
It's pretty crazy.
I don't understand. This game I'm choosing Cleveland, but I just don't understand how Ravens always has these injuries.
Yeah, it's I'm picking Cleveland. The next game, I don't want to talk about it. Let's just pick and let's just move on.
All right.
Broncos and Bears. I'll pick the Bears.
I'll choose the Broncos.
Sure. Done. Don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
This should have been the Thursday night game of the week.
Afternoon slate. Actually, probably one of the better afternoon slates we've had so far.
Wait, hold on. Quick question for you though.
Yeah.
Is it Bronco Bears game going on one of the
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No,
Just
no,
had to
no,
make
no,
sure.
no, no, no.
I had to make sure.
Afternoon slates. Raiders in LA. It's a Raider home game in LA against the Chargers, pretty much. The tickets are, I think, the last time I checked, it was 80-20 Raider fans, which is kind of funny because where Vegas was last week, it was more Raider fans, but it was close.
Yeah. What's the odds? What's the spread?
5.5 for I was gonna say San Diego. Chargers. That'll never die. It'll always be San Diego.
If you are a fantasy football person,
This is going to be high. The over under is 48. Give me the over.
Give me the over for this. And if you have Keenan Allen on your team, this might be one of those weeks where you're gonna get some points from.
If you have Keenan Allen, if you have Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams, you're eating.
Yeah, for sure. Give me the Raiders on this one.
Whoa.
Give me the Raiders on this one.
We need it.
Herbert, to me, I just don't believe in the Chargers. Like they should not have won that game.
Whoa. You should put an asterisk on this. Jimmy practiced today. If this is Hoyer, you're saying Chargers then though.
No, I'm saying Raiders.
Even if it's Hoyer.
No matter who starts for thing.
Yeah.
I just don't. I might sound like the biggest Charger hater. I realize this from last season. I might be the biggest Chargers hater, but I just don't believe in their coach.
I wonder if the Chargers, I know they never want to lose to the Raiders, but I wonder part of them was like, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Let's lose to the Raiders because then maybe that'll fire Staley.
After that fourth down play, like, come on. Like,
dude, if they did lose this game, they're on a bye after this, it would be the perfect time to fire.
It would be the perfect. They should have fired him from the end of last season.
He got lucky. If they don't win that game, I firmly believe he's not going into this game.
He's out. He's out.
Done. He's done. He got saved because somehow the Vikings choked at the end.
Yeah, he should have been gone. And I don't wish nobody to lose their job, but no. Yeah, so give me the Raiders.
Yeah. It's interesting with my team. I don't think we're bad at like all the Raider fans on the Reddits and the Twitter side like, yeah, we're going to be in Caleb. Like, we're not going to be in Caleb because we're just good enough to be far away from it. We will be probably in the 8th or 9th pick, but we're not bad enough to be going for Caleb because I even like Luke, who's in our fantasy league, he brought it up in our league. He's like, you look at your schedule, dude. He's like, Chargers, winnable game. Packers, winnable game. Patriots, winnable game. Bears, winnable game. Lions, probably a loss. But if they win it, no one's going to be shocked. Giants, winnable game. Jets, winnable game. And then Dolphins, I'm not watching that game.
Yeah.
I'm not watching that game.
I think you should just watch it for the entertainment.
Chiefs, probably a loss. Vikings, winnable game. Chargers, winnable games. At Chiefs, probably loss. Colts, winnable game. Broncos, winnable games. This is my hell of a team that has a close. And that Steeler game was very frustrating because Josh McDaniels doesn't know that 8 points, Josh, that can die a game, Josh.
That was stupid. To go back to something that you said too, that might be the real reason why Minnesota will lose their game.
Who? I mean the Raiders.
No, Minnesota, because we were talking about the Caleb sweepstake.
Yeah.
That might be why Minnesota loses a game, so that it pushes for the trade.
Oh yeah.
Because right now you paid Justin Jefferson. You need that rookie.
Have they paid him yet?
They gave him an extension.
Right. And he's already he asked for Kenny Pickett today. I was like,
Yeah.
Justin, Kenny
So
Pickett is not better than Kirk Cousins.
so if you get that, might put them in the thing of, okay, we're in a salary cap kind of hold right now.
Yeah.
We need to get the best quarterback that we can get.
I'm pretty sure Caleb Williams would be okay going to Minnesota. Going to Chicago, I think he's going back to USC.
Yeah.
But going to Minnesota, I think he'd be okay having his former receiver in Jordan Addison and then having the best receiver in the league.
Exactly. So
he'd be good.
Yeah. I don't think you guys are in that sweepstake for him.
We are not. We're not in that, and we're not in Drake May. No. Maybe the Texas quarterback, maybe Bo Nix, but
maybe Bo Nix. Who's that other? There's a next one.
The quarterback from Texas, Irwin or whatever.
Yeah, there's like 5 solid quarterbacks
Rattler.
coming out of this.
Rattler.
Rattler. Yeah. That's who I was thinking. Rattler for Vegas would be pretty nice.
Yep. I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, obviously my heart would love Drake May. But we're not going to be near for Drake May. Yeah. Okay. Then New England travels to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. This New England, much like the Raiders, they're very frustrating because it's if Mac, if they even had a Jimmy G, I think they'd be better than what they are right now.
Oh yeah,
like they probably should be 2-1. The Pats, Cowboys. I think the Diggs injury happened after we did the pod last week, I believe. Yeah. Cowboys are favored by 6.5. They should win this game, but we've seen what happens with the Cowboys when they don't have a big lead. They just kind of fall apart trying to figure out their offense. And they force it into CD all the time, and they can't figure things out.
All comes down to Dak Prescott if it's a close game. And if it comes down to
Pollard is not, he's the main back now.
Yeah. It changes the dynamic of everything. If you're up 40 points, you can do whatever you want. If you're down 10, it changes how you play, depending on the timing of the game. So this is Bill Belichick, though. And that New England team is a weird team.
Aren't they ever?
I'm gonna choose New England to cover the spread.
Oh man, I love it. To cover the spread, not to win. Gotta be careful.
I'm just going off of the spread. New England to cover the spread.
Our final afternoon game, Arizona and San Francisco. Arizona, like you mentioned, they beat up on the Cowboys. I don't know if that's gonna happen this time around. But shouts to them. You know, they've been in some close games. They're not gonna win this game. The line's 14. I could see them cover. I don't know if they will, but I could see it.
I could see them covering because doesn't 49ers have some key injuries on offense? I think Debo might be out.
Debo is questionable. Brandon Ayuk is questionable. If I were them, I just don't play him.
Because I think Brandon Ayuk missed last week.
Yeah.
So
they face Dallas after this. If it was me, I'm sitting one of them, if not both of them.
I have a feeling Ayuk will play and Debo will sit.
Yeah. If not, have very limited snaps.
Yeah. 14 is a high spread.
Yeah, it's high. Against a team that's frisky. I'm not going to say that's not bad. They are not good, but they are a frisky team. As we saw, they beat a good Dallas team.
I don't think Dobbs realizes that they're supposed to be losing.
By the way, too, when Dobbs was like, they don't have my jersey in the store, I'm like, look, I don't want to say it, dude, but you're not the quarterback of your team, and no one's getting a Dobbs jersey except for your family and friends.
It's a fact, but he
said, like, I don't want to be a dick, and you are been a good quarterback, and there will be some teams in the league that will look to maybe try to get you because you proved that you're a decent quarterback, but Kyler Murray is still the quarterback of this team, unless it's Drake May next year, because Caleb Williams is not playing for this team.
It'd be very interesting watching Dobbs. I can see Dobbs being on like a Seahawks after this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could see Dobbs. Like, there's a few teams where I was like, oh, Dobbs would be pretty decent. Dobbs would be good on the Titans. Has way too many because they still
mysteries.
Yeah, but Ravens.
Well, not Ravens because they got Lamar.
I know, but as a backup,
yeah,
as a backup, yeah, like him there as a backup, Seahawks as a backup, like those would be like two teams that kind of work with what they already. He would just plug and play.
Like, that's a guy that if the Vikings do lose and they did trade Kirk, and let's say Kyler's back in like week 6 or something. Like, yeah, sure, let's just go get Dobbs now. They don't need him anymore because they got Kyler back.
Exactly. Throw a 6th-round pick for him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Arizona is just an annoying team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with San Fran, just because I think San Fran has to keep showing that they're the bullies of the NFC. So I'm gonna go San Fran, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cardinals cover. But I'm gonna go San Fran.
And then Sunday Night Football, KC Jets, Taylor's version.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to deal with Taylor Swift in New York.
Is there anything good on Sunday night?
No, that's the worst part.
I really wish that we could have got the Raiders Chargers game flexed, or the Bills game flexed, or even I really like that Pittsburgh and Houston game. Like, I wish any of those games were flexed instead.
So I was watching a bunch of ESPN today, and they were saying by second quarter, Trevor Siemian will be in the game.
Yeah, probably. Well, because Zach's losing the locker room. You're hearing about that quite a bit, right?
Yeah. But I also don't think it's such a bad thing. Like, I think that he's in such an unfortunate situation. Like, he's been in an unfortunate situation. Like, imagine you thinking that I'm going to take a year or 2 years to just sit behind a quarterback, a legendary quarterback.
Yeah.
And learn from him. And then 4 plays in, you're forced to go in. And everybody's hopes of Super Bowl,
they're gone.
Just kind of dies. Like, of course your confidence is going to be where it's supposed to be. Like, it's not gonna be there. Like, the team wanted to get rid of you beforehand.
Your Jets division, that was a parlay, right?
Yeah.
Oh shit, well that's done.
Yeah, that was that. As soon as Rodgers went down, I was like, all right, this is a wrap. I'm not looking at this anymore. But yeah, give me the Chiefs on this one. I just feel bad for Zach Wilson, though. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I do a little bit as well. It's unfortunate there, but yeah, this will be bad. And Travis, I need to know how many prop bets are there in Travis Kelce? This is like Super Bowl territory, actually, by the way, because of how many times will they show Taylor? How many times will they mention Taylor? Who will be showing first, Taylor or Travis Kelce?
It's this whole thing is just annoying.
There's going to be so many little prop bets like that. Well, will Taylor's mom give Taylor a high five or a hug?
Yeah.
Will Jackson Mahomes talk to Taylor? Will Brittany Mahomes talk to Taylor?
I need it to end.
Yeah.
I know it's only been a week. Like, when I first watched this last week game, they're like, can you believe TMZ is here? Oh my gosh, I don't care.
There's no way she's going to Minnesota. There's no way she's going to Minnesota next week. This is the end.
No.
This is the end. She is
2
not
weeks
going
until they get to somewhere hot at next.
But they are in Denver, in Arrowhead against Denver for Thursday Night Football on the 12th, and that's the week of her movie. And she goes back on tour. She might be back on tour by then.
She may be there.
I have to check. I don't. Swifties, if you're listening to every football podcast possible now. I don't care about her tour dates. I'm not going to check. Maybe as a broadcaster, I need to check out every little thing. I don't care.
I got a few people that are going to the Toronto show.
I wanted to look, and I like Taylor Swift, but don't love her enough for those prices.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with listening to some of her music and stuff like that. But like honestly, I'm over this whole thing already. It's only been one game and I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
A freaking Mark Cuban today talking on First Take about dating a Maverick. I'm like, I can't deal with Luca and Taylor Swift. But
do you see what Travis said after that?
Yeah, I signed me to a 10-day.
Yeah. Like this is just
but I was imagining him like hypothetically, I'm like, who would be the best? I mean, for Canada, if she dated Dwight, and I don't know if Dwight's married or not, so if he is, excuse me, but dating Dwight Powell would be my dream. Then you get everything up. Then you get everything up here in Canada. Then of Dwight Powell and Taylor Swift. You can go to France next year and watch them play for Team Canada. Monday Night Football.
The biggest drama would be if she dated Kyrie. Oh my gosh, that would be the
good God.
Yeah.
Why do you want me to kind of want this?
The world. Do you know how much thought think pieces would be about like flat Earth and flat women?
Well, and
like,
then she's literally dating the NBA's Kanye.
Yeah. Actually, now I want this. Now that we put it like this, I kind of want
this too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if LeBron didn't have a lovely relationship with Savannah, I think that would break the.
And I'm pretty sure Kyrie's married.
Kyrie's married,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of like she can't date any NBA player. She decides to. She's done the football realm and she wants to do the NBA side of things. She can't go down any Jenner Kardashian road, so that's going to be a tough jaunt to go down.
Well, wasn't Austin Reeves the one that they were talking about for?
I know. I wanted it. I wanted it from my guy.
Yeah,
but she backed up. Maybe she'll come back on that when the football stuff's done, and then the start of the NBA season. She's like, actually, you know what? Back to Austin Reeves.
The LA team not looking that bad right now.
Monday Night Football. Seattle travels to New York to take on the Giants. For whatever reason, this line's only 1.5. Give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, give me Seahawks.
Yeah, Giants look really bad.
Yeah, I don't know what the Giants are anymore.
Daniel Jones. Can we agree that so far we have seen why you don't pay running backs unless they are legit generational like CMC?
Yeah, unfortunately,
you may have one of them. You may have one of those guys.
I think I may have two, but
yeah.
No, it's so bad. Like they're in this fight of trying to like raise the running back market, but all these injuries, man, doesn't help the fight.
I thought the Seahawks looked. I think they're just trying to get their weapons. And by the way, too, the secondary of the Seahawks have a guy named Kobe Bryant and a guy named Michael Jackson. And it was driving me absolutely crazy on the commentary.
Every time they would say it, I'm just dying of laughter.
I think the Michael Jackson one is funnier to me than the Kobe Bryant one.
Well, yeah.
It's like, Michael Jackson, what a stop!
Kobe Bryant is way too recent.
Well, he wears 8'2".
And you have to be careful, like how you announce, like the stop. You know, like you gotta be mindful. There's so much stuff you have to be mindful for when Kobe Bryant gets a tackle.
Yeah. College football, really quick. Our belated Coach Prime, not a great one.
Honestly, to tell you the truth, after we recorded last week, I saw that one picture. I sent it into the group chat, and if you look at all those scores favored Oregon, and favored Oregon by big. And Oregon is still a powerhouse school. This does not mean anything about Colorado. Colorado is in their first year of a real rebuild.
They sure are. They won one game last year. They beat the team that went to. There was. We're not going to get into it.
Yeah.
but there was a lot of happiness, a little too much happiness about Colorado
Oh
from
yeah,
a certain side of the internet, but we'll leave that alone.
yeah. But like honestly, to tell you the truth, it was bound to happen, right?
Yeah.
People find Coach Prime arrogant. People find Coach Prime narcissistic. There's so many words that they try to use against him, but like
Mhm.
he's just trying to build a program
Yep.
in the way how he knows how to build a program. And if you don't think that next year is going to be way better than this year, I don't know what you're going to say. That O line that problems that they have, those D line problems that they have at this point, is not going to be the same next year because they're going to be able to recruit so much more people because
Why do
everybody's
you
going to
think he
want to play
wants
for
his
Prime.
son and Travis Hunter to stay for a year?
Stay
Because
for
he
one more
wants
year.
that, because he
Yeah.
knows how good they're going to be. And look, them making a bowl game was the goal this year. They knew they weren't going to go to the national championship. They wanted to make a bowl game. And next year, with having 8 teams in the playoffs, that will be the goal for them next year, is to
That's the
be into
goal.
one of those 8 spots.
Now they're up against a very tough challenge this week with USC.
Yeah, this game still at 10 a.m. is a joke to me. 10
Yeah.
a.m. Mountain Time, 12 o'clock Eastern. It's still a joke to me because I still think it's the game a lot of people like. If this was the primetime game, is Duke and Notre Dame, and I get it, it's the biggest Duke football game since 1993. They're saying it's the first time Duke has been that ranked high in football since 1993.
Duke's been pretty
It's a good,
trash.
yeah, and it's a good Duke team. Their quarterback is the point guard of the team, and it should be a good game. But people want to see Prime versus Caleb Williams because people know Caleb Williams is a generational talent. They keep on hearing him. He's the Wembanyama of this year for people, and they want to see, why is this guy so special if I haven't seen him.
I think one of the problems with this game too is that Prime made it known that Shador is not going into the
Oh,
draft.
really? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like, if that's, I think if Shador was going into the draft, I think they may move this game because then it would have been like 2 potential Heisman Trophy winners, like But
it's too bad that Carolina and USC couldn't have agreed to face off against each other. But Carolina doesn't want, because Carolina knows if we just stay in the ACC and there's like a few jumps for us to jump up in the ratings, and USC knows the same thing. I don't know if they wanted to deal with each other that way, because if we had Drake versus Caleb, that would have been a huge match. Number one, just the name North Carolina has, the name USC has, and then you have the 2 top quarterback prospects.
Yeah, there's honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. This year will be a really good year for quarterback for drafts. That Colorado game, I'm definitely watching. I'll make sure I'm up. I think I'm recording at that time. Damn, I'm still gonna watch it while recording. But I'm definitely watching that game. I think Ohio State has a pretty good game this week.
Yeah, well, we have a good game on a Friday, like tomorrow. Utah and Oregon State. It's a good Friday game, and
that's not a bad game.
SmackDown going against that, I think, is gonna get pretty hurt in the ratings on that one. Like, poor WWE has to go against football twice this week.
Thank God for them, it's not their go home.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a pretty good game still.
I don't see, maybe Ohio's off this week. North Carolina's off. I do want to talk about Carolina in a second. Georgia is facing Auburn, but Auburn's not ranked. They're 3-1. So who knows? Maybe this is the game that Auburn pulls off the big upset and gets himself ranked. That game is at 1:30. Florida and Kentucky. Kentucky's undefeated right now. In fact, I think this is the first time the core 4 blue bloods of basketball, Kansas, Carolina, Kentucky, and Duke, are all undefeated this far into the season. That has not happened ever.
No, this is like the first time that they're actually relevant.
Yeah.
Like,
so that game's going to be really good.
The 4 for football is usually Texas, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, and Bama. Like those 4.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is like, when they're good, they're up there. Like, it'll be
so yeah, that Florida game, I'm so mad I'm working on this day, but that game's really good. Michigan and Nebraska should be, they should dust them off. Nebraska's always
4.
This is week 5.
So is this where Harbaugh comes back?
Yep, I
Yeah.
believe so. We just see what the new see if that's true or not.
Or was it their last? I remember originally he was suspended for
He
4
was back for
games.
the Rutgers game.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
he
so
was
he's been back.
originally suspended for 4 games, and then
Yeah,
they dropped it down to 3.
their quarterback's not bad either. McCarthy, I like him.
No, there's good quarterbacks this year.
Uh, Texas and Kansas is a really good game.
That's a good game.
That's a good game. We also have Missouri taking on Vanderbilt. That's not as good of a game. LSU and Ole Miss. That's going to be a good one too. That's at 4:00 Mountain Time, 6
They
Eastern.
both kind of are disappointing me this season.
Yeah, with and then Stafford's going to get dusted by Oregon.
Yeah,
I talked about that Duke game. That's a big one. Alabama versus Mississippi State. That could maybe have upset potential. And then Washington against Arizona. Arizona's 3-1. Washington, big game for them. They're the 7th seed right now. And then the Nevada Bowl. Well, not Nevada Bowl, but Nevada facing against a 25th ranked Fresno to kind of end there. So nothing really crazy too much there. And then so Ohio State and North Carolina are both off this week.
They're both off this week. Okay.
Yeah. My Tar Heels, I think they got the win. They really needed to get just a beat down. And I think Drake needed a beat down because he was in the Heisman. I don't think he was in it just yet. No. He was playing good, but I think that beat down of Pittsburgh helped. And like I said, for me, for the pod, we need Carolina to beat Syracuse. And then we need the U to pick up a win next week against Georgia Tech to set up undefeated Miami against undefeated North Carolina for North Carolina and Miami. Jermaine and Josh, your favorite Calgary basketball duo, and see what happens there between the U and Chapel Hill.
That'll be interesting. That'll definitely be interesting.
It's cool to have some of these schools that people like are more known for basketball to like have them effective and known. I think it's exciting because there's a lot of people that are North Carolina fans, and I've had so many people come to me, Senator, and be like, "Oh, you must hate that Duke's good at the same time as Carolina." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" In a perfect world for me, Duke and North Carolina are both undefeated when they face each other.
Oh yeah,
that'd be amazing.
You want that clash, right? So that people are
ESPN wants that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, everybody's gonna want to see those type of games. So when undefeated teams are facing each other, those are usually the must-see games. Like this week right now, the must-see game is gonna be the Buffalo USC game.
Yeah.
Even if Buffalo's just came off of a horrible loss. It's just the fact that it's Prime Shador versus Caleb Williams. Like you just marquee it as that.
Yeah. I've enjoyed, I mean, this is the most I've tried to get into college football, and I have heard your things for everyone's feedback. They do love the college football talk at the end of it.
Yeah.
I think it connects us a little bit more when we get to the draft as well. But I have really enjoyed this season. And you know what? I have to think, look, my team being good helped me get more into this season. But I got to thank Coach Prime as well, because he's a big reason why I've been much more enjoyable into it. And I think America, there is a big section that is college football fans, but Coach Prime is a big reason why people are paying more attention to college football this year.
Like I've seen some of the ads that they put out for him for his games, and I'm like, they know the money is in that. Not just because of how he speaks to everybody. He's good when in his post conferences. People want him to lose, so then you have that the division when it comes to that. People are hate watching, people are love watching. Like it's the two sides. So it's just he really just expanded that game, and as long as he's going to be there, because people weren't really watching when he was at Jackson State. No. But when he made that switch over to Colorado, and he really took advantage of the portal pool and all that stuff, even before the season started, everyone was kind of like, oh, he came in and he got rid of pretty much all his players to bring in new players. Like, all right, let's see what this results in. The first game, all right. The second game, okay. Now look at that. You're 2-0. You already won more games than you did the year before.
did you hear Van Lathan was on Bill Simmons' podcast and talked about the five most interesting teams for Coach Prime and the five teams that America doesn't want Coach Prime to go to because it would be an entirely different game for him for recruiting.
I didn't hear the teams, but I'm guessing
You're
Florida would be
guessing
one.
Florida was number one.
Florida State would be one. Him going back to where
Florida
he
State
played.
wasn't on the list.
Wasn't?
No, because he has a contentious relationship with them right now.
Okay. So
But
Florida,
Florida was number one.
Texas.
A&M.
Yeah. Trying to think. We can't say Bama because Bama is Nick
No.
Saban.
No, Bama wasn't on there. Ole Miss was one.
Ole Miss. I'm really trying to think of the teams right now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I can't remember the other. I only remember one other one. Oh, there was. Yeah, I remember the other one now.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame wasn't one. The other one was Arkansas,
Arkansas would be interesting.
and then the U.
All five of those teams would be interesting.
If he did the U, and he could have Uncle Luke and everyone back to being the U, being what it was.
Yeah, that would be something.
But right now, I think the U is in the best place they've been in a while. So I don't think that's happening anytime soon right now. But that
Texas A&M would be a good
Texas
good one
A&M would be really something. Yeah. Texas was an asterisk on it, but right now the way that Texas is right now, he didn't see it. But
Texas kind of set up, but Texas A&M would be a nice one.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's leaving Buffalo. I think he's going to at least 3 years. He's on a 4-year contract. I think at least 3 years with Colorado before he does anything. I don't think he'll go to the NFL, and he said he won't either.
He doesn't want to be in the NFL.
Although I do think if he ever did, Vegas makes the most sense for him.
I think if anybody should get an opportunity to do that, it should be Ed Reed after how they screwed him for college this year. Like, yeah, he would be. Who wouldn't want to learn from Ed Reed?
I know.
Anybody that has a good defense, bring that guy in as defensive coordinator.
Ray Lewis not coaching? He seems like he'd be a good coach too.
Nah, Ray Lewis is pretty much just a commentator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ed Reed would be a great coach.
Yeah, I would. If there's one, if I heard Ed Reed, if I was a safety or anything like that, and I wanted to be on any of the coach, whether it's a defensive coordinator or a head coach, bring Ed Reed there, because Ed Reed would be like Udonis Haslam for the Heat before he retired. Like, you just know, like, he's just telling everybody what he needs to do, and he'll get into anybody's face.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'll tell you this before we go, as far as coaches go, because the way if the Raiders stay in the path they're going to, and McDaniels does get fired this year, I saw my future head coach in the game tonight. I guess we can talk about that really quickly before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Man, I want Ben Johnson as the coach of the Raiders.
Oh, Ben Johnson. Yeah, he's making a real name for himself at this point right now.
I would love him to be the head coach of this team. Man, in my dream scenario, we can get Drake May and we get Ben Johnson.
You know, honestly, to tell you the truth, just because we said earlier, we're hoping that Houston doesn't do what they normally do for coaches. But if they do, that's a coach you should go for too. DeMarco Ryan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You gotta go for him.
The really quick in the Lions and the Packer game, I thought Jordan Love took a step back tonight. I thought there was there are signs of glory and there's signs of struggles. I thought there were some really beautiful throws and some really ugly plays, and no David backs in there. That O-line's going to struggle without him. And man, did the Lions just run the shit out of the football. David Montgomery, as much as it hurt me as a Gibbs fantasy owner, man, did he run the hell out of that football tonight.
Oh yeah. But also they got no run game from Green Bay. Like Detroit is really good against the run, as they shut down my team. They shut down the Green Bay. Like, it's just
Hutch is good. Yeah. Hutch is going to be a future defensive player of the year.
Hutch is NFC player of the month, defensive player of the month. Like, yeah, it's just, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer if he keeps this up.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, folks, cheers and enjoy the day, people.
Thank you for listening to the Fresh Take Network. Follow us on social media platforms at Fresh Take 42.